Ryan Jones stepped onto the Pakled starship exultant for a routine maintenance check, unaware he'd stumbled into 4 alien females' mating season. The moment he crossed the airlock threshold, an unsettling tension permeated the air. Captain Thule, a female Pakled, greeted him with disconcerting enthusiasm. Her eyes locked onto Ryan's form, tracking his every movement. As he moved deeper into the ship, Ryan noticed the other 3 crew members, Zorna, Krell, and Vex, exhibiting equally strange behavior. The Pakled's skin flushed an odd shade of purple, their breathing heavy and irregular. They crowded Ryan's personal space, their bodies radiating heat. Ryan's instincts screamed danger, but he pressed on with his inspection. At the ship's computer terminal, Ryan's fingers flew across the alien interface. A blinking red alert caught his attention. His eyes widened as he read the message. Pakled mating season in progress. The computer's explanation chilled Ryan to his core. During mating season, Pakled females became aggressive and single-minded, seeking the strongest available partner. With growing horror, Ryan realized he was the only non-Pakled aboard. 4 pairs of alien eyes bored into him, filled with primal hunger. Captain Thule approached, her intentions unmistakable. Ryan backed away, his heart pounding. He turned to leave, but Thule blocked his path. The other 3 Pakled females closed in, trapping Ryan on the bridge. Panic rose in his chest as he searched for an escape route. The emergency escape pod caught his eye, tantalizingly out of reach. "You must choose," Thule declared, her voice husky and demanding. "One of us will be your mate." Ryan's mind raced. He needed to escape without damaging human-Pakled relations. Years of diplomatic progress hung in the balance. He raised his hands in a placating gesture. "Ladies, I'm flattered, but interspecies mating isn't possible between humans and Pakleds," Ryan explained, fighting to keep his voice steady. His words fell on deaf ears. The Pakleds were beyond logical thought, driven by biological imperatives. They inched closer, their intentions clear. Ryan's eyes darted around the bridge, cataloging potential tools and weapons. His human ingenuity kicked into overdrive, formulating a plan. He'd need to outsmart these hormone-driven aliens to reach the escape pod. As the Pakleds closed in, Ryan steeled himself. He had one chance to implement his strategy. The fate of future human-Pakled relations rested on his shoulders. With a deep breath, Ryan prepared to put his plan into action, uncertain of the outcome, but determined to succeed. The tension on the bridge reached a fever pitch. 4 alien females driven by mating instincts versus 1 human engineer, armed only with his wits. The next few moments would determine whether Ryan escaped or became an unwilling participant in an interstellar diplomatic incident. Ryan's mind raced as he faced the 4 Pakled females, their alien forms radiating heat and primal desire. In that crucial moment, his engineering instincts kicked in. He spotted the environmental control panel just a few feet away, its alien symbols now familiar after years of working on various extraterrestrial vessels. With a swift motion, Ryan lunged for the panel, his fingers dancing across the interface. The Pakleds, caught off guard by his sudden movement, hesitated for a split second, all the time Ryan needed. The temperature on the bridge began to rise rapidly. Within seconds, the air became thick and oppressive. Ryan, accustomed to working in various environments, managed to keep his focus. The Pakleds, however, were visibly affected. Captain Thule's purple flush deepened, her breathing becoming labored. Zorna, Krell, and Vex swayed on their feet, their movements becoming sluggish. Ryan seized his chance, making a dash for the escape pod. But Thule, displaying unexpected agility, intercepted him. Her eyes, previously clouded with desire, now held a spark of something else, admiration. "You, clever," she panted, her words stilted but clear. "Not just strong, smart." Ryan paused, realizing that his actions had shifted the dynamic. He saw an opportunity to defuse the situation without resorting to escape, which could potentially damage the delicate diplomatic relations between humans and Pakleds. "Captain Thule," Ryan said, his voice steady despite the heat, "I have a proposal. Let me stay and help with your ship's maintenance. In return, I ask that you and your crew respect my personal boundaries." Thule tilted her head, considering his words. The other Pakleds watched the exchange with growing interest, their aggressive postures relaxing slightly. "Show skills," Thule challenged, gesturing towards the ship's control panel. Ryan nodded, moving towards the console. As he worked, he explained his actions, his words painting a picture of the ship's inner workings. "Your life support systems are malfunctioning, causing these temperature fluctuations. See this power coupling? It's operating at only 60% efficiency." The Pakleds gathered around, their eyes wide with fascination. Ryan's fingers flew across the controls, diagnosing and repairing issues that had long plagued the crew. As the temperature stabilized, so did the atmosphere on the bridge. "You fix good," Zorna commented, her voice filled with awe. Ryan smiled, feeling the tension dissipate. "There's more I can do. Your propulsion system could use an overhaul, and I noticed some irregularities in your shield harmonics." As he continued to work, Ryan engaged the Pakleds in conversation, learning about their culture and unique approach to technology. He discovered that their apparent simplicity masked a complex society with its own strengths and challenges. "We make better," Krell explained, describing the Pakled philosophy of adapting and improving upon technologies they encountered. Ryan nodded, beginning to understand. "So you're not just looking for things that are strong or fast, but for new ideas and approaches." "Yes," Vex exclaimed, her eyes lighting up. "You understand." As the hours passed, Ryan found himself developing a rapport with the Pakled crew. Their initial aggressive mating instincts seemed to be tempered by curiosity and respect for his abilities. Even Captain Thule, who had been the most forceful in her advances, now regarded him with a mix of interest and professional courtesy. However, Ryan remained acutely aware that the situation was far from will-powered. The pheromones in the air, while less overwhelming, were still present. Occasional longing looks from the crew reminded him that the Pakled mating season was a long way to go. As he finished recalibrating the shield generators, Ryan wiped sweat from his brow. "Captain Thule, with your permission, I'd like to take a look at your warp core next. I think I can increase its efficiency by at least 15%. Thule nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "You stay. Help. We learn." Ryan returned her smile, feeling a mix of relief and anticipation. He had managed to navigate the immediate crisis, but he knew the challenges were just getting started. As he followed Thule towards the engine room, Ryan pondered the complex path ahead. He had committed to staying aboard a ship with 4 aliens experiencing an intense mating season. His actions over the coming days would not only ensure his own safety, but could potentially forge unprecedented bonds between humans and Pakleds. The weight of this responsibility settled on his shoulders as he prepared to dive into the next task, keenly aware that every interaction, every shared moment of discovery, could shape the future of interspecies relations. As Ryan followed Captain Thule towards the engine room, his mind raced with calculations and possibilities. The Pakled ship's systems were a patchwork of alien technologies, cobbled together in ways that defied conventional engineering logic. Yet there was an undeniable elegance to their approach, a testament to the Pakled's unique problem-solving abilities. "Warp core." "Here," Thule said, gesturing to a pulsating cylinder that dominated the center of the engine room. The air hummed with energy, and Ryan could feel the vibrations through the soles of his boots. He approached the core, his trained eyes scanning for inefficiencies. "I see the issue," he muttered, more to himself than to Thule. "Your power distribution is uneven. We can realign the dilithium matrix to increase output by at least 15%, maybe more." Thule watched intently as Ryan began to work, her earlier aggressive behavior tempered by genuine curiosity. "You know, much," she observed. Ryan nodded, his fingers dancing across the control panel. "I've worked on a lot of different ships. Each one teaches me something new." He paused, glancing at Thule. "Your ship, it's unique. I've never seen some of these modifications before." A hint of pride flickered in Thule's eyes. "We make better," she said, echoing Krell's earlier words. As the days passed, Ryan found himself immersed in a whirlwind of repairs and upgrades. The Pakled crew's initial hormone-driven frenzy gradually gave way to a different kind of energy, one fueled by curiosity and the desire to learn. Zorna, in particular, showed an unexpected aptitude for complex calculations. One morning, as Ryan struggled with a particularly tricky power routing problem, she approached him with a series of equations scrawled on a datapad. "Try this," she said, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Ryan studied the calculations, his eyes widening. "Zorna, this is brilliant. How did you come up with this?" The pack-led female's skin flushed a deeper purple, but this time from pride rather than mating instincts. "Numbers. Makes sense," she replied simply. As the days turned into weeks, Ryan found himself developing a rhythm with the crew. Krell's immense strength proved invaluable when heavy components needed moving, while Vex's spatial awareness helped optimize the ship's layout for better efficiency. But it was Thule who surprised Ryan the most. The captain's leadership skills came to the fore as she coordinated their efforts, balancing the crew's strengths and weaknesses with a deft touch that belied her species' reputation for simplicity. One evening, as Ryan and Thule pored over schematics in the ship's mess hall, he found himself asking, why do pack-lades have this reputation for being, well, less advanced? Everything I've seen here contradicts that. Thule was quiet for a moment, her alien features unreadable. Then she spoke, her words careful and more articulate than Ryan had yet heard from her. Others underestimate. We let them. Safer. Easier to get what we need. Ryan nodded slowly, a new understanding. Dawning. The pack-led's apparent simplicity was a carefully constructed facade, a survival strategy in a galaxy that often exploited perceived weakness. As the weeks stretched into months, Ryan's work on the ship's systems expanded beyond mere repairs. He found himself creating interactive tutorials, teaching the crew the underlying principles of the technologies they'd collected and modified. The pack-led's mating season, while not forgotten, had evolved into something more complex. The females still watched Ryan with interest, but it was tempered now by respect and a genuine desire for his companionship beyond the physical. It was during this time that Ryan discovered the critical flaw in the propulsion system. He was deep in the Jeffries tubes, tracing a power fluctuation when he found it, a hairline fracture in the main power conduit, invisible to standard diagnostics. If this isn't fixed, he explained to the assembled crew on the bridge, we could lose propulsion entirely. We'd be stranded in deep space. Thule's expression grew serious. How fix? Ryan took a deep breath. It's going to take all of us working together. I have a plan, but it's not going to be easy. As he outlined his proposal, Ryan saw something ignite in the eyes of the pack-led crew, a spark of excitement, of challenge accepted. This was more than a repair job. It was a chance to prove themselves, to merge their unique approach to technology with Ryan's expertise. The next few days were a flurry of activity. The bridge of the Exultant became a command center, with Thule orchestrating the complex dance of repairs. Zorna's calculations proved crucial in rerouting power around the damaged sections. Krell's strength was put to the test as they moved heavy components, while Vex's spatial skills were invaluable in reassembling the propulsion system's intricate parts. Ryan found himself at the heart of it all, guiding, teaching, and learning in equal measure. As they worked side by side, he gained deeper insights into each of the pack-leds. Thule's quiet strength, Zorna's hidden brilliance, Krell's gentle nature belying her imposing size, and Vex's keen intuition, each revealed depths that challenged Ryan's preconceptions. As the final pieces of the propulsion system fell into place, a new tension filled the air, not the primal urgency of the mating season, but the anticipation of a shared achievement. Ryan stood at the main engineering console, his hand hovering over the activation switch. Ready? He asked, looking around at the crew. Thule nodded, speaking for all of them. We ready. Ryan took a deep breath and engaged the system. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a low hum that quickly built to a powerful thrum, the engines came to life. The ship vibrated with new energy, and on the display, power readings soared far beyond their previous capabilities. A cheer went up from the pack-led crew, a sound of pure joy that transcended species. Ryan found himself swept up in their celebration, accepting hugs and congratulatory pats with a grin that threatened to split his face. As the initial excitement died down, Ryan became aware of a shift in the atmosphere. The Pakleds looked at him with a new light in their eyes, not just attraction or respect, but something deeper. He had become more than a potential mate or a useful ally. He was now part of their crew, their family. Thule approached him, her usually stoic features softened with emotion. "You stay?" she asked, her question carrying the weight of more than just a job offer. Ryan looked around at the faces of the crew, at the ship he had helped transform. He thought of the progress they'd made, not just in technology, but in understanding. There was still so much to learn, so much potential for growth and discovery. He began, the implications of his decision stretching out before him like uncharted space. Ryan began, the weight of his decision hanging in the air. Before he could finish his sentence, a sharp beep from the console interrupted the moment. The long-range sensors had detected something. "Unknown vessel approaching," Zorna reported, her fingers flying across the controls. "Large, very large." Ryan's heart rate quickened as he moved to join Zorna at the sensor station. The approaching ship dwarfed the Exultant, its sleek design speaking of advanced technology far beyond their own. Captain Thule's voice rang out, clear and authoritative. "Battle stations, all crew, prepare." The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity. Ryan found himself naturally falling into step with the Pakled crew, his months aboard the ship having integrated him seamlessly into their operations. He took charge of the engineering systems, his mind already racing through potential scenarios. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the massive form of the unknown vessel. Its hull gleamed with a metallic sheen that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. As they watched, a beam of energy lanced out from the ship, barely missing the Exultant's port side. "Minor damage to outer hull," Krell reported, her massive hands steady on the tactical console. Thule turned to Ryan, her eyes seeking his. "Ideas?" Ryan's gaze darted between the readings on his console and the looming threat on the screen. His mind whirled, piecing together a plan. "The propulsion upgrades," he said, his voice gaining confidence as he spoke. "We can use them. Our ship may be smaller, but we're more agile now." He outlined his strategy rapidly, detailing a series of complex maneuvers that would exploit their newfound speed and agility. As he spoke, he saw understanding dawn in the eyes of the Pakled crew. Zorna's fingers were already moving, calculating the optimal flight path before Ryan had even finished speaking. Krell nodded, her powerful frame tensing as she prepared to manually adjust the shields. Vex's eyes narrowed in concentration, her spatial awareness allowing her to predict the enemy ship's likely movements. "We do it," Thule declared, settling into the captain's chair with newfound authority. The next few minutes were a blur of action. The Exultant danced through space, executing Ryan's plan with a precision that belied the Pakled's reputation for simplicity. Each crew member played their part flawlessly, their collective efforts transforming the small ship into a formidable opponent. As they evaded another barrage from the enemy vessel, a communication request flashed on the main screen. Thule nodded, and the image of their attacker appeared. The bridge fell silent as they found themselves face-to-face with a Klingon captain. His ridged forehead was creased in a scowl, his eyes burning with the fury of a warrior denied easy prey. "I am Captain Koth," the Klingon growled. "Surrender your vessel immediately or be destroyed." Ryan stepped forward, drawing Koth's attention. The Klingon's eyes widened slightly at the sight of a human among the Pakled crew. "I am Ryan, representative of the United Federation of Planets," Ryan declared, his voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. "This ship is under Federation protection. Any further aggression will be considered an act of war against the Federation." Koth's scowl deepened, but uncertainty flashed in his eyes. The presence of a Federation citizen complicated matters significantly. Thule seized the moment of hesitation. "Vex, now!" she commanded. Vex's hands flew across her console, initiating the sequence they had prepared. The Exultant surged forward, its enhanced propulsion system creating a localized distortion in space-time. A swirling vortex of energy formed before them, a temporary wormhole, a feat of engineering that should have been impossible for a Pakled vessel. Without hesitation, Thule ordered, "Go!" The Exultant plunged into the wormhole, leaving behind a stunned Klingon captain and his powerful but outsmarted vessel. For a breathless moment, the ship was engulfed in swirling energy, the very fabric of space bending around them. Then, with a lurch that sent everyone stumbling, they emerged into open space once more. Cheers erupted on the bridge. Krell's booming laugh mixed with Zorna's high-pitched trills of excitement. Vex beamed with pride, while Thula allowed herself a small but satisfied smile. Ryan found himself at the center of a group hug. The pack lead's earlier physical attraction now transformed into genuine affection and camaraderie. As the initial euphoria subsided, he became acutely aware of Thule's gaze upon him. Her eyes held a new depth of emotion, respect, admiration, and something more complex that made his pulse quicken. As the crew began assessing their new location and the ship's status after the daring escape, Ryan's mind raced with the implications of what had just occurred. They had not only evaded a superior force, but had demonstrated capabilities that would reshape how the galaxy viewed the Packlids. His presence on the Exultant had catalyzed a transformation, unlocking potential that had always existed within the Pack-led crew, but had never been fully realized. The political ramifications of this encounter would be far-reaching, potentially altering the balance of power in this sector of space. As Thule ordered a course set for the nearest starbase to report the Klingon encounter, Ryan found himself both exhilarated and apprehensive about what lay ahead. The bonds he had formed with this crew, particularly with Thule, had deepened beyond anything he could have anticipated when he first came aboard. The journey to the starbase would give them time to prepare for the scrutiny they would face. Ryan knew that explaining his presence aboard a pack-led ship and the advancements they had made would raise eyebrows in the Federation. Similarly, the Packlids would need to navigate the changing perceptions of their species. As the Exultant cruised through space, its crew basking in the afterglow of their victory, Ryan couldn't help but feel that this was just the beginning. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. A unique alliance of human ingenuity and Packlid potential, ready to make their mark on the galaxy. The Exultant cruised through space, its crew still basking in the afterglow of their victory against the Klingon vessel. As they approached the Federation starbase, however, the mood on the bridge shifted. Ryan felt the weight of scrutiny settling over them like a heavy blanket. Captain Thule's voice cut through the tense silence. "Crew meeting, now!" They gathered in the small conference room, a space that had become increasingly familiar to Ryan over the past months. Thule stood at the head of the table, her usually stoic features creased with concern. "We arrive soon," she said, her eyes sweeping across the assembled crew. "Questions will come, many questions." Ryan nodded, understanding the implications. "We need to be prepared for how we'll explain everything that's happened. The upgrades to the ship, our encounter with the Klingons, my presence here." Zorna's fingers tapped nervously on the table. "Federation not like Packleds with advanced technology?" "It's not that," Ryan explained, choosing his words carefully. "But it will raise a lot of eyebrows. We need to be transparent about how we've achieved these advancements, show that it's been a collaborative effort." Krell's deep voice rumbled through the room. "We show strength, no hide." As they debated their approach, a sharp alarm cut through the air. Vex's hands flew to her console, her eyes widening as she processed the incoming data. "Distress signal," she reported. "Planet nearby. Big trouble." Ryan leaned over her shoulder, scanning the readouts. "It's Zeta 6, he said, his mind racing. "Massive geological instability. They're requesting immediate assistance." Thule's gaze locked with Ryan's, a silent communication passing between them. He saw the hesitation in her eyes, the conflict between their original plan and this new development. Ryan spoke up, his voice filled with conviction. "Captain, this is our chance. We can show exactly what this crew is capable of. The Federation starbase is overwhelmed. We're in the perfect position to help." For a moment, the room was silent as Thule considered. Then, with a sharp nod, she made her decision. "We go. Help people. Show what Packlids can do." The bridge erupted into action as they changed course for Zeta 6. Ryan found himself at the center of a whirlwind of activity. coordinating with each crew member to prepare for the rescue mission. Zorna, I need you to analyze the planet's surface. Find us safe landing zones that can withstand the seismic activity. The pack-led woman nodded, her fingers flying across her console with newfound confidence. Krell, we need to modify the shields. They have to be able to withstand intense geological forces. The large pack-led grunted in acknowledgement, already moving towards the engineering station. Vex, focus on the transporters. We'll need them to function perfectly in what's likely to be a very turbulent atmosphere. As they approached Zeta 6, the view screen filled with a scene of chaos. Entire continents seemed to shift and buckle before their eyes. Cities crumbled in real time, their destruction visible even from orbit. Ryan felt a lump form in his throat. The scale of the disaster was overwhelming. But as he looked around at the determined faces of the pack-led crew, he felt a surge of hope. Captain, he said, turning to Thule, we need to coordinate with the local authorities. They'll know where we're needed most. Thule nodded, opening a channel to the planet's surface. The face that appeared on the screen was etched with desperation. This is Captain Thule of the Starship Exultant, she said, her voice steady and clear. We are here to help. The relief on the local official's face was palpable. Thank the stars, he breathed. We have thousands trapped in Sector 7. The ground is literally disappearing beneath their feet. Ryan stepped forward. We have enhanced transporters and shields. We can get in close and evacuate large groups quickly. As the official relayed the coordinates, Thule took the helm. The Exultant dove into Zeta 6's turbulent atmosphere, the ship shuddering as it fought against violent wind currents. Ryan manned the transporter controls, his hands steady despite the chaos around him. Energizing, he called out, watching as the first group of terrified civilians materialized on their pad. Krell directed the newcomers to the hastily prepared evacuation areas, her imposing size and gentle demeanor a calming presence amidst the panic. Hour after hour they worked tirelessly. The ship bucked and swayed as Thule navigated through collapsing buildings and opening chasms. Zorna's voice was a constant presence, calling out warnings of impending quakes and safe zones for transport. Just as they thought they were making headway, a massive tremor shook the planet. Ryan watched in horror as the ground beneath the main evacuation zone began to crumble. The shelter's collapsing, he shouted. There are hundreds still inside. Without hesitation, Ryan made a decision that would change everything. I'm going down there, he announced, already moving towards the transporter pad. Ryan, no! Thule's voice was sharp with fear, but he was already dematerializing. He rematerialized in the midst of chaos. The shelter's floor was splitting apart, a yawning chasm opening beneath the terrified civilians. Ryan's engineering mind kicked into overdrive. He sprinted to the main support column, pulling out his modified tricorder. I need something to reinforce this structure, he shouted to the nearest person. Anything rigid, metallic. As people scrambled to follow his instructions, Ryan worked feverishly, using his knowledge of Packlet and Federation technology to jury-rig a support system. Above, he could see the Exultant hovering, Thula's expert piloting, keeping the ship steady in the turbulent air. Now, Ryan shouted into his communicator, beam them up. He watched as group after group of civilians disappeared in shimmering columns of light. The ground continued to shake, the chasm widening with each passing second. As the last group dematerialized, Ryan felt the floor give way beneath him. He stumbled, falling to his knees as the shelter began to collapse in earnest. Ryan! Thule's voice crackled through his communicator. Hold on! He could see the Exultant descending, pushing against the violent winds. It was a reckless maneuver, one that put the entire ship at risk. But as the transporter beam enveloped him, seconds before the ground disappeared entirely, Ryan felt a surge of emotion that transcended gratitude. He rematerialized on the bridge, gasping for breath. Thula's eyes locked with his, a storm of emotions passing between them in that silent moment. But there was no time for words. The planet below them was reaching a critical point of instability. Thule's hands flew over the controls, guiding the Exultant up through the atmosphere as the world beneath them tore itself apart. As they broke free of Zeta the Six's gravitational pull, a cheer went up from the crew. They had done it. Against adversity, they had saved thousands of lives. Ryan looked around at the faces of his Pakled crewmates. No, his friends. Thula, whose quick thinking had saved his life. Zorna, whose calculations had guided them through the chaos. Krell, whose strength had been a pillar of support for the terrified evacuees. Vex, whose spatial awareness had allowed them to navigate the collapsing cityscape. They had proven themselves beyond any doubt. The Paklades were no longer a species to be underestimated. As the adrenaline of their success began to fade, Ryan noticed Thule staring intently at the long-range sensors. Her expression, so recently filled with triumph, now darkened with concern. "Ryan," she said, her voice low, "look." He moved to her side, his eyes widening as he took in the sensor readings. Multiple ships were converging on their location, a mix of Federation, Klingon, and Pakled vessels. The crew of the Exultant exchanged glances, the gravity of their situation settling over them. Their actions had drawn the attention of major galactic powers. The true test, it seemed, was yet to come. As they prepared to face this new challenge, Ryan felt a mix of apprehension and dedication. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, a crew united by their shared experiences and newfound capabilities. Thule's voice cut through his thoughts, steady and resolute. "Prepare for contact. We show them who we are now." The Exultant moved forward, ready to meet the approaching ships and defend their hard-won achievements. The next chapter of their journey was about to unfold, with the fate of human Pakled relations hanging in the balance. The approaching ships loomed larger on the screen, their formation tightening as they neared the Exultant. Ryan felt the weight of countless eyes upon them, the scrutiny of three major powers bearing down on their small vessel. Thule's steady voice cut through the tension. "Prepare a message. We show them who we are." Ryan nodded, his mind racing. They needed to control the narrative before anyone jumped to conclusions. He turned to Zorna. "Can you compile a data package of our rescue efforts on Zeta 6? "Yes," Zorna replied, her fingers flying over the console. "Include ship logs?" "Everything," Ryan confirmed. "We need full transparency." As Zorna worked, Ryan drafted a concise message explaining their recent actions and the advancements made to the Exultant. He emphasized their peaceful intentions and willingness to cooperate. "Message ready," Thule announced, her hand hovering over the transmit button. Ryan took a deep breath. "Send it." The effect was almost immediate. The approaching ships slowed their advance, their aggressive formation loosening. Vex's console lit up with an incoming transmission. "They want to talk," she reported, a hint of relief in her voice. Moments later, the view screen flickered to life, splitting into three sections. Ryan recognized Admiral Jankowski of Starfleet, his expression a mix of concern and curiosity. Beside him, a Klingon commander glowered, his ridged forehead furrowed in suspicion. The third face belonged to a Pakled official, his eyes wide with interest. Thule stepped forward. "I am Captain Thule of the Exultant. We come in peace." Admiral Jankowski spoke first. "Captain, we've received your message. I must say we have many questions about your ship's capabilities and Mr. Ryan's prolonged stay with your crew." The Klingon commander, Koth, growled, "You will explain how you escaped our encounter and why you dare to flaunt such technology." The Pakled official, Grook, leaned closer to his screen. "Your achievements? Impressive. Tell us more." Ryan stepped into view, standing shoulder to shoulder with Thule. "Gentlemen, I understand your concerns. We're prepared to explain everything in detail." As Ryan began to outline their journey, from his initial arrival on the Exultant to their recent rescue mission, a shrill alarm cut through the air. Zorna's eyes widened as she read the incoming data. "Energy surge detected," she exclaimed. "Nearby star, unstable." Ryan rushed to her station, his heart sinking as he processed the readings. "It's going supernova," he breathed, "and there are inhabited systems in its path." The conference call erupted into chaos as the news spread. Admiral Jankowski's face paled. "There's a Federation outpost in that sector." Koth thumped his hand down. Our colony on Konos Beta is at risk. Ryan's mind raced, calculations and possibilities flashing through his thoughts. An idea formed, audacious and risky, but potentially their only hope. We can stop it, he said, his voice cutting through the panicked chatter. All eyes turned to him. Impossible, Koth scoffed. Ryan shook his head. Not stop it entirely, but contain it long enough for evacuations. We can create a temporary containment field around the star. He quickly outlined his plan, explaining how they could combine the Exultant's enhanced systems with the resources of the gathered ships. As he spoke, he could see the skepticism on the officials' faces slowly give way to consideration. Admiral Jankowski leaned forward. It's never been attempted on this scale. Which is why we need to work together, Ryan pressed. The Exultant can serve as the central command, but we'll need every ship to generate enough power for the containment field. Koth's eyes narrowed. And why should we trust you with this, human? Thule stepped forward, her voice firm. Because we have already proved what we can do. On Zeta 6, we saved thousands. Now we can save millions. A tense silence fell over the conference. Ryan held his breath, acutely aware of the seconds ticking away. Finally, Koth nodded. Very well. The Klingon Empire will participate in this endeavor. The Federation stands ready to assist, Admiral Jankowski added. Gruck, the Pakled official, beamed with pride. Pakled ships will help. We show Galaxy what we can do. What followed was a flurry of activity unlike anything Ryan had ever experienced. The Exultant became a hub of frantic preparation. Engineers from all factions beamed aboard, working alongside the Pakled crew to modify systems and sync their ship's capabilities. Ryan found himself at the heart of it all, coordinating teams and fine-tuning the containment field calculations. He watched in awe as Klingon warriors worked side by side with Federation scientists and Pakled engineers, all former suspicions set aside in the face of their shared crisis. Thule's voice rang out over the comms, coordinating the growing fleet's movements. Zhorna called out precise timings and positions, her calculations guiding ships into a complex formation around the unstable star. As the final preparations were made, Ryan looked around the bridge of the Exultant. The faces of his Pakled crewmates were set with purpose, a far cry from the confusion and uncertainty he'd first encountered months ago. Thule caught his eye, a silent understanding passing between them. Whatever the outcome, they had already achieved something remarkable. All ships in position, Vex reported. Ryan took a deep breath. Initiate containment sequence. Energy beams lanced out from the assembled ships, converging on the Exultant. The vessel shuddered as it channeled the combined power, directing it towards the swelling star. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then slowly a shimmering field began to form around the star, growing stronger with each passing second. Containment field holding, Zhorna announced, her voice tense. Ryan watched the readings climb, his hands clenched at his sides. Divert all available power to field maintenance, he ordered. The star continued to swell, pushing against the containment field. Alarms blared as the ship's systems strained under the immense pressure. Evacuation's underway, Admiral Jankowski's voice crackled over the comms. We need more time. Koth's gruff voice joined in. Our colony reports 60% evacuated. Hold the line. Ryan's mind raced, searching for solutions. Zhorna, can we reconfigure the field to better distribute the strain? As they worked, pushing their technology and their alliance to its limits, Ryan realized that this moment was about more than just averting a disaster. It was a turning point, a chance to reshape the future of interstellar relations. The containment field flickered, the star's power threatening to overwhelm their combined efforts. But as the last evacuation ships reported clear, Ryan knew they had succeeded in their primary goal. All ships prepare to disengage on my mark, he called out. 3, 2, 1, mark. The containment field collapsed as the fleet retreated to a safe distance. The star exploded in a brilliant flash of light and energy, its destructive force now harmlessly expanding into empty space. As the immediate danger passed, a stunned silence fell over the Exultant's bridge. They had done it. Against adversity, they had contained a supernova and saved countless lives. The silence was broken by the sound of incoming transmissions. The view screen lit up with faces from across the fleet, Federation, Klingon, and Pakled alike. Their expressions ranged from awe to grudging respect. Admiral Jankowski spoke first. "Mr. Ryan, Captain Thule, on behalf of the Federation, I commend you for your extraordinary leadership and innovation." Koth nodded gruffly. "The Klingon Empire acknowledges your competence in battle against a worthy foe." Gruk beamed with pride. "Pakleds show Galaxy we are strong, we are smart." As the initial wave of congratulations subsided, Ryan sensed a shift in the air. The admirations began to mix with pointed questions and thinly veiled requests. "The Federation would be very interested in further examining your ship's enhancements," Jankowski said, his tone carefully neutral. Koth leaned forward. "The Empire would discuss an exchange of technical insights." Gruk's expression turned shrewd. "Pakled Council will want full report. All new technology must be shared." Ryan exchanged a glance with Thule, reading the concern in her eyes. Their success had brought new challenges, political pressures that threatened to pull them in multiple directions. As the demands and requests continued to pour in, Ryan realized that their journey was just the beginning. The Exultant and its crew stood at a crossroads, their actions poised to reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. The question now was, where would they go from here? Here, the question hung in the air as the view screen filled with expectant faces, each representative eager to stake their claim on the Exultant's groundbreaking technology. Ryan exchanged a meaningful glance with Thule, their silent communication speaking volumes. They had overcome incredible odds together, but this new challenge would require all their wit and diplomacy. "We appreciate your interest in our advancements," Thule began, her voice steady. "However, we need time to consider the implications of sharing our technology." Admiral Jankowski leaned forward, his expression a mix of concern and urgency. "Time may be a luxury we don't have. I propose we continue this discussion in person. The Starbase 47 is nearby and neutral ground. We can convene there in 12 hours. The other representatives nodded their agreement, and soon the Exultant was en route to the massive space station. As they approached, Ryan stood at the view screen, taking in the sprawling structure. Its multiple docking arms extended like spokes from a central hub, each one busy with ships from various species. The next hours passed in a blur of activity. The Exultant docked, and Ryan found himself swept into a whirlwind of introductions, security checks, and hushed conversations. The station's conference room was a marvel of engineering, its transparent aluminum walls offering a breathtaking view of the surrounding space. As the talks began, Ryan quickly realized the delicate balance they were trying to maintain. Admiral Jankowski cornered him during a recess, his voice low and persuasive. "Ryan, we need you back in the Federation. Starfleet Engineering is prepared to offer you a promotion. Full commander with your pick of assignments." The Admiral's eyes gleamed with the promise of opportunity. "Think of what you could accomplish with our resources." Before Ryan could respond, he felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Gruk, the Pakled official, his round face creased with concern. "Ryan, friend," Gruk said, his simple words belying a shrewd intelligence. "Pakled needs you. Help us become strong, smart like Federation." Ryan opened his mouth to reply, but a commotion across the room caught his attention. Commander Koth, the Klingon representative, was engaged in a heated discussion with Thule. "You dishonored the Empire with your trickery," Koth growled, his hand hovering near his dak tag. "We demand access to your technology as recompense." Thule stood her ground, her posture tense but controlled. "We acted in self-defense, Commander. Our actions saved lives, including those of your crew." Ryan moved to intervene, his mind racing. The situation was rapidly spiraling out of control. He needed to find a way to satisfy all parties without compromising the Exultant's independence or the safety of the quadrant. "Everyone, please," he called out, his voice cutting through the tension. "I have a proposal." All eyes turned to him as he outlined his idea for a joint research initiative. He spoke of the potential for collaborative development, emphasizing how their recent victories had been achieved through cooperation. The Exultant can serve as a testbed, he explained, gesturing to include all parties. We can work together, combining our strengths to push the boundaries of what's possible. His words were met with skepticism, but Ryan could see the seeds of interest taking root. Admiral Jankowski stroked his chin thoughtfully, while Grook's eyes widened with excitement. Even Koth seemed to consider the idea, his fierce scowl softening slightly. As the diplomats began to debate the merits of Ryan's proposal, a shrill alarm cut through the air. A harried-looking Starfleet officer burst into the room, his face pale. "Admirals, commanders," he gasped. "We've received a distress call. A civilian transport has been caught in an ion storm. It's drifting into an asteroid field with over 3,000 passengers aboard." The room erupted into chaos as the representatives argued over jurisdiction and response protocols. Ryan caught Thula's eye across the room, a silent understanding passing between them. "The Exultant can handle this," Ryan announced, his voice cutting through the din. "Our enhanced systems make us the best equipped to navigate the storm and perform the rescue." Admiral Jankowski hesitated, clearly torn between the need for immediate action and the desire to keep the valuable ship under observation. "Are you certain you can manage this, Mr. Ryan?" "Absolutely," Ryan nodded, his confidence unwavering. "We've faced worse and come out on top." With a reluctant nod from the Admiral, Ryan and Thule rushed back to the Exultant. The crew was already at their stations, Zorna's fingers flying over her console as she plotted the fastest course to the stricken transport. As they undocked from the station, Ryan felt a familiar surge of adrenaline. The diplomatic minefield they'd left behind faded from his mind, replaced by the urgent need to save lives. The Exultant surged forward, its enhanced engines pushing it to speeds that would have been impossible just months ago. As they neared the coordinates of the distress call, the true scope of the disaster became apparent. The civilian transport, a massive vessel easily 10 times the size of the Exultant, was being tossed about like a toy in the grip of the ion storm. Huge asteroids loomed in its path, their surfaces crackling with electrical energy from the storm. "Zorna, status report," Thule commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding before them. "The transport's shields are failing," Zorna replied, her eyes never leaving her console. "Life support systems are critical. And, Captain, I'm detecting a spatial anomaly forming within the asteroid field. It's causing severe gravitational fluctuations." Ryan's mind raced, calculating possibilities and discarding them just as quickly. They needed a plan, and they needed it now. "Thule," he said, turning to the Packlet captain. "I have an idea, but it's risky. We'll need to use our tractor beam in a way it was never designed for." As Ryan outlined his plan, he saw the mixture of willpower and trust in Thule's eyes. She nodded, then turned to address the crew. "Prepare for rescue operations," she commanded. "We show Galaxy what Exultant can do." The bridge came alive with activity as the crew threw themselves into their tasks. Krell's hands danced over the engineering console, rerouting power to strengthen their shields. Vex coordinated with the transport's crew, preparing for the massive undertaking of beaming thousands of passengers to safety. As they approached the edge of the asteroid field, Ryan took a deep breath. Everything they'd been through, every modification and upgrade they'd made to the Exultant, had led to this moment. "Engaging tractor beam," he announced, his fingers flying over the controls. "Zorna, initiate shield harmonic sequence." The Exultant shuddered as the tractor beam lanced out, its energy interacting with their shields in a way never before attempted. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then slowly a corridor began to form in the asteroid field, the massive rocks pushed aside by the combined force of the beam and the precisely tuned shield harmonics. "It's working!" Zorna exclaimed, a rare note of excitement in her voice. Thule leaned forward in her chair, her eyes fixed on the monitor. "Take us in, steady as she goes." As the Exultant entered the corridor, Ryan allowed himself a moment of hope. They had a chance now, but the most difficult part of the rescue still lay ahead. Ahead. The ship trembled as it pushed through the storm, the asteroid field looming ever closer. "Steady!" Ryan called out, his hands gripping the console. "Maintain our course." The transport ship came into view, its hull crackling with electrical discharges from the ion storm. Ryan could see the panic on the faces of the passengers pressed against the viewports. "Vex, prepare for mass transport," Thule ordered. "We'll need to work fast." As the Exultant maneuvered into position, the crew worked in perfect synchronization. The tractor beam held steady, clearing a path through the asteroids. Vex's fingers flew over the transporter controls, beaming groups of passengers aboard in rapid succession. Minutes stretched into hours as they raced against time. The transport's hull groaned under the strain, but slowly, steadily, the number of life signs aboard dwindled. "Last group beamed aboard," Vex announced, relief evident in his voice. Ryan allowed himself a moment of triumph before reality set in. The Exultant was now severely overcrowded, its systems straining under the load of thousands of additional passengers. "Zorna, plot us a course out of here," Thule commanded. "We need to get these people to safety." As they navigated out of the asteroid field, the comm system crackled to life. Admiral Jankowski's face appeared on the screen, his expression a mix of relief and admiration. "Excellent work, Exultant," he said. "Return to Starbase 47 immediately. We'll have medical teams standing by." The journey back was tense, with the ship's systems pushed to their limits. But as they docked at the starbase, a wave of cheers erupted from the rescued passengers. In the aftermath of the rescue, Ryan found himself once again in the conference room, facing the assembled diplomats. This time, however, the atmosphere was markedly different. Admiral Jankowski stepped forward, his voice filled with newfound respect. "Mr. Ryan, Captain Thule, your actions today have demonstrated the true potential of interspecies cooperation." Ryan exchanged a glance with Thule, sensing an opportunity. He cleared his throat and addressed the room. "Thank you, Admiral. I believe this mission has shown us all what we can achieve when we work together." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "I'd like to propose a refined version of our earlier idea, a joint research initiative with the Exultant serving as a testbed for collaborative technological development." The room buzzed with interest. Even Commander Koth leaned forward, his earlier hostility replaced by curiosity. To Ryan's surprise, Thule stepped forward. "The Pakled crew of the Exultant offer our ship and our expertise for this initiative," she announced. "We will serve as primary operators, working alongside representatives from all parties." The diplomats conferred in hushed tones, their earlier skepticism giving way to excitement. After what seemed like an eternity, Admiral Jankowski turned to address Ryan and Thule. "We've reached an agreement," he said, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "The Exultant will be designated as an independent research vessel, operating under joint supervision. Mr. Ryan, you'll serve as Chief Science Officer, with Captain Thule retaining command." As the details were hammered out, Ryan felt a shift in the air. The pack-led mating season, which had sparked this whole adventure, had come to an end. Yet the bonds formed during their shared trials had grown into something deeper, more meaningful. Later, as the negotiations concluded, Thule approached Ryan in a quiet corridor. Her eyes held a warmth he'd never seen before. "Ryan," she said, her voice soft but firm, "I have proposition, not just as captain to officer, but as Pakled to human." Ryan's heart skipped a beat. "What kind of proposition?" Thule took his hand, her grip strong and sure. "I propose union, not just romantic, but symbolic. Show Galaxy what human and Pakled can achieve together." Ryan's mind reeled. He thought of their journey, the challenges they'd faced, the trust they'd built. In that moment, he knew his answer. "Yes," he said, squeezing her hand. "I accept." The news of their engagement spread quickly. Zorna, Krell, and Vex were overjoyed, seeing it as a natural progression of the family they'd become. The wedding itself was a grand affair, held aboard the Exultant. Dignitaries from multiple species crowded the ship's main hall, transformed into a ceremonial space that blended human and pack-led aesthetics. Admiral Jankowski officiated, his words emphasizing the historic nature of the union. Commander Koth and Grook stood as witnesses, their presence a testament to the new era of cooperation. As Ryan and Thule exchanged vows, They incorporated elements from both their cultures. Ryan placed a ring on Thul's finger, while she fastened a traditional Pakled bracelet around his wrist. The ceremony culminated in a symbolic act of technological unity. Together, Ryan and Thul activated a newly installed device, its pulsing energy merging with the ship's systems and enhancing its capabilities. As the crowd erupted in cheers, Ryan looked into Thul's eyes. He saw in them not just love, but a shared vision of the future they would build together. With the ceremony concluded, the Exultant prepared for its maiden voyage as an independent research vessel. Its mission to explore uncharted space, seeking out new phenomena and testing groundbreaking technologies born of multi-species collaboration. Ryan stood on the bridge, Thul by his side. Zorna manned the helm, Krell monitored engineering, and Vex managed communications. They were more than a crew now. They were a family, united in purpose. "Course laid in, Captain," Zorna reported. Thul nodded, then turned to Ryan. "Ready, husband?" Ryan grinned, still marveling at how far they'd come. "Ready, wife." "Engage," Thul commanded. The Exultant surged forward, leaving the starbase behind. As they entered warp, the stars stretched into brilliant streaks of light. Ryan felt Thula's hand in his, a physical reminder of the bonds they'd forged. He thought back to that fateful day when he'd discovered 4 alien women in mating season. How could he have known it would lead to this? A new family, a revolutionary alliance, and a future brimming with possibilities. As the Exultant ventured into the unknown, Ryan knew their story was not nearly finished. New challenges awaited, new discoveries to be made. But whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. Human, Pakled, and all those who would join their mission of unity and exploration. The bridge hummed with energy as they pushed deeper into uncharted space. Ryan squeezed Thula's hand, his heart full of excitement for the adventures that lay ahead. This was just the beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.